Good morning, students. Today we'll start with the first kingdom of the Whittaker 5 kingdom classification, that is Monera. Here we'll discuss some of the characteristics of this phylum Monera. Now this Monera, we can say in simple terms, these are what? These are bacteria, as we know. So when we talk about bacteria, we can say that these are the most abundant organisms present on the earth, or you can say universe. They are present everywhere. If you just take a handful of soil, you will find thousands of bacteria in that soil. These can live in extreme hot springs. They can be present in deserts, snow and deep oceans. They can be present everywhere, in short. They can be present in or on other organisms, like when they are present inside the organisms, they are called endoparasites, and when they are present only on the epidermal layer, they are called as ectoparasites. Okay. When we talk about the physiological aspects of these bacteria, they are very simple organisms but having a very complex behavior in terms of the physiology. Mode of nourishment, as we discussed in the earlier classes. So some of the bacteria are autotrophic, they can be photoautotrophic or chemoautotrophic, and majority of these bacteria are heterotrophs. They depend on others for their food, or they can also depend on dead and organic matter. As we know that when we talk about the mineralization in the soil, the decomposition in the soil, only one thing that comes in our mind is that a bacteria. These are responsible for all the processes which is occurring in soil. All the inorganic molecules when converted into organic, and when again conversion of organic into inorganic is necessary. So these bacteria play a very important role in the decomposition of the organic matter, and from there they get their food. So these organisms, they possess some specific shapes, so we'll discuss these shapes. Okay, these organisms can be present in various shapes. Okay, the first one is coccus. The first one is coccus. Okay, when we talk about the plural form, we will say cocci. So these are the round structures. Okay. Now they can be present in a pair, so they will call diplococci. Then they can be present in a bunch, they are called streptococci. So various forms. You just have to remember that the first basic shapes which the bacteria can possess is the coccus. These are the gram-negative bacteria. We'll come to that, what is gram-negative bacteria, but they possess this particular shape, that is small circular shapes. Okay. Now the second shape which is possessed by these bacteria are the rod shaped. Okay, rod shaped. They are called bacilli. In plural we call them bacillus, or singular we'll call that rod shaped. So they are called what? They are called bacillus. Bacillus. Okay, so this is the particular name of the organism, and the shape possesses rod shape. So they will be like these. Okay. There is also third type of shape possessed, that is cocobacilli. This is not given in your syllabus, but they are short rods, the shape between this and this. Okay, that is cocobacilli. That you don't have, you just remember that, you don't have to memorize that. Okay, that is not given in your textbook. Now the third shape is the comma shaped bacterium. Okay, what is it? Is a comma shaped. Okay, these are called Vibrio, or plurally called as Vibrio. Comma shape you can say like this, like a rainwater droplet. As we draw in our drawing books, it can be like this, comma shaped. Okay. Okay, now the fourth one is spirillum. Okay, so these are of spiral shaped. And we call them as spirillum. Plural will call that spirilla. Okay, so you can say the spiral bacteria. These are the bacteria which is present in your mouth. If I can give an example, these are actinomycetes, a specific type of bacteria, and these are present in the plaque which is formed on our teeth. The actinomycetes is present in that. Okay, so this is the common characteristics of the class Monera. Okay, so this Monera is divided into Eubacteria and Archaebacteria. Now we will come to a specific portion of this Monera, that is the Archaebacteria. Now these, what is the difference between the Eubacteria and the Archaebacteria? These Archaebacteria are special type of bacteria which are present in very harsh environments. Okay, these bacteria are special type of bacteria Archaebacteria. These bacteria are special type of bacteria which are present in very harsh environment. Okay, now what can be these harsh environments? They can be like salty areas. Okay, in oceans where the salt concentration is very high. They can be present in hot springs where the temperature is also high and the acidity is present. They can be present in marshy areas where oxygen is not available properly. Okay, like you say that the daldal type of areas. Okay, that is called the marshy area. Okay, so we call them as, when they are present in salty areas, we can call them as halophiles. Okay, when they are present in hot springs, we'll call them as because temperature is there and acidity is there, thermoacidophiles. This phile means loving. So these are present in salt areas because they love that. Okay, philic is always loving and phobic is repelling. Okay, so these are thermoacidophiles, and the third one is called present in marshy areas, and these are called what? Methanogens. Okay, now they can survive in this harsh environment because the cell structure which they are possessing, the cell wall which they are possessing, is having a different feature which will make them survive in this harsh environment. Okay, so the cell structure will be very different from the other organisms, that is the other bacteria. Now these third methanogens which are present, these methanogens are present in the gut of several ruminant animals, that is cows and buffaloes, and these are responsible for the production of methane, that is biogas from the dung of this animal. Okay, so they are also used for the production of methane gas from the cow dung. Okay, so Archaebacteria, we can say that they are present in harsh environments. They can be called as halophiles, thermoacidophiles, methanogens. Okay, they possess a different cell wall structure as compared to the normal bacteria. okay, and they are present in gut of the organisms, which will help in production of methane gas from the dung. When we use the dung and when we do the biogas production planning, so the methane gas which will be evolved because these methanogens are present in the gut of the ruminant animals, and they will come from the they will be present in the dung of these animals, and they will in turn help in the production of methane gas. Okay, Monera, we studied the Archaebacteria, and now we will study what? We will study, that is Eubacteria. In Eubacteria, we will study two types, that is the photosynthetic bacteria, these are also called as cyanobacteria, and the other one are the heterotrophic bacteria. Okay, so we will first start with the photosynthetic bacteria, but before that we will discuss some of the common characteristics of the Eubacteria. Now the Eubacteria are called as true bacteria. These are the true bacteria. So why we call them as true bacteria? They will be possessing some special characteristics which will be only for these bacteria. So these characteristics which are present in Eubacteria, which make them true bacteria, are a rigid cell wall, okay, a rigid cell wall, okay, and if motile, that is specific motility structure present, flagellum. Okay, you have seen the diagram of a bacteria. It's like that. This is the basic cell, and here you will see this structure. So this is nothing but flagellum. Okay, and cilia, these kind of structure which are possessed, thin hair like structure, these are cilia. So in bacteria you see the presence of a flagellum. Okay, so for a typical true bacteria, it will possess a rigid cell wall, and if motile, they will have a flagella. Okay, so this is the characteristics of a true bacteria. Now we come to the phototrophic bacteria, that is phototrophic or chemoautotrophic bacteria, that is the cyanobacteria. Okay, so these cyanobacteria are also referred to as blue-green algae, okay, because they possess chlorophyll that makes them autotrophic. Okay, they can prepare their own food. Now they have a chlorophyll structure that is very similar to the chlorophyll A which is present in plants, okay, green plants. So these are also called as phototrophic, photosynthetic autotrophs, that is they can do photosynthesis and prepare their own food, so they are known as photosynthetic autotrophs. Okay, these cyanobacteria can be are unicellular, they are filamentous. Okay, filamentous means very a mesh like structure will be formed with various filaments. Okay, and they can be present in both marine water, fresh water, and they can be also present on land. Okay, they are commonly also called as blue-green algae. These colonies which they form are generally surrounded by a gelatinous sheath, that is the outer covering which is made up of gelatin. Okay, you can also call that as mucilaginous sheath, and they form long blooms, okay, wide blooms, or you can say coverings over the ponds, water bodies, various water bodies. Okay, now you can say that here these are the cells of these bacteria. So outside there, here will be the presence of what? The mucilaginous sheath, that is the covering, and there will be presence of specific cells in between these, that is the heterocyst. Okay, now these heterocysts which are present in some specific eubacteria, that is Nostoc and Anabaena, they will help in the fixation of the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen fixation into the organism. Okay. Now some bacteria, these are the photosynthetic autotrophs, some can also be chemosynthetic autotrophs. We talked about cyanobacteria, these are photosynthetic autotrophs. Now some bacteria will also be there which will be chemosynthetic autotrophs. So you can see here that both autotrophs word is common, so they are able to prepare their own food, but they will prepare their own food with the help of sunlight. And here the chemosynthetic bacteria will do what? They will oxidize various inorganic compounds like nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, and the energy which is released during the oxidation of these inorganic material will be used in preparation of their own food. And so as they fix atmospheric nitrogen, these heterocysts help in fixation atmospheric nitrogen, and these help in oxidation of various compounds like nitrates, nitrites, ammonia. They play a very important role in the geological cycle. Okay, biogeological cycle we can call. All the recycling of the nutrients is made possible because of these bacteria and because of the specific activities which are done by these bacteria. Okay. Now we will study the heterotrophic bacteria. So heterotrophic bacteria are the most abundant among the eubacteria. As the name suggests, these bacteria depend on others for the preparation of their food, or they depend on other for their food material, food supply, or they depend on other for their food. Okay. Now these bacteria are helpful and harmful both. Okay. When we talk about the pros of these bacteria, here they help in making curd. Okay, lactobacillus is there. Now they help in making antibiotics. Okay, the antibiotics which we use today are made from some are made from fungus and some are made from bacteria. Okay, they also help in the fixation of the nitrogen in the leguminous plant, that is the pea plant, or other plants of the family Fabaceae. You know that the nitrogen fixing bacteria is there which will help in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen into the organic form. Okay. Now when we talk about the cons of these bacteria, they are also causing some typical disease to the organisms. You can say that cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus canker, all these known disease which are very well known to the human world, and some time back they were very deadly. These are called by these are caused by bacteria. So we can say that the bacteria are also helpful and they are also harmful. Now these bacteria, how they grow? They grow by cell division. That is, we can call that as fission. As in amoeba we call that binary fission, so here we can simply call that as fission. That is, the cell is there, it will divide into two, and now these two will become as a daughter cells. Okay, they can also survive in unfavorable condition, like when we see soil. Okay, when we see soil, there is presence of spores of these bacteria, and this spore formation takes place under unfavorable condition. Now when these spores get a vegetative field or vegetative organism, which is favorable for their growth, they will start growing there. So under unfavorable condition, a specific process that is sporulation occurs or spore formation occurs, which help these bacteria to survive under unfavorable condition. You know that there are small children playing in the outside the house, and they are playing in that mud and all that, and we always tell them to, when you come back home you should wash your hands, because the spores are there in this mud, the air, okay, and these spores, when they come in contact with the body or some vegetative food products which will serve them nutrition, they will grow and reproduce, and they can cause disease. Okay, they reproduce. These organisms generally do this fission is a asexual means. Okay, now they also reproduce by sexual method, and that particular sexual primitive type of method is the DNA transfer from one bacterium to the other, and in specific terms it is called as conjugation. Okay, in your textbook it's not given the name of the method, but it is the primitive type of DNA transfer, that is the DNA will be transferred from one bacterium to the other, and that process is known as conjugation. See, I'll tell you how. This is bacteria and this is the other bacteria. So a conjugation canal will be formed between these bacteria, and now the genetic material will follow through this, and a copy of genetic material will be made here, and this will move inside this. Okay, so this is what this is, the primitive type of sexual reproduction occur, where only the DNA will be moved from one bacterium to the other, and this is typically called as conjugation. Now there are certain kinds of organisms which completely lack cell wall. These bacteria will be there which will not have any cell wall, and they are the smallest living cells which can survive without oxygen, and these are generally pathogen to some particular animals and plants, and these are what? Nothing but mycoplasma. So what are the characteristics of these mycoplasma? These mycoplasma don't have a cell wall. Okay, they are the smallest living cell which can survive without oxygen, and many mycoplasma are capable of causing disease in animals and plants, and that so they are called as pathogenic. Pathogenic is nothing but disease causing organisms. So these mycoplasma can cause disease in plants and animals, so they are called as pathogenic. Okay, so this is all about heterotrophic bacteria. So in Monera we studied the basic characteristics of bacteria, then we studied Archaebacteria, which is a special kind of bacteria present in harsh environment. Then we came to the eubacteria, that is a true bacteria, and in true bacteria, that is eubacteria, we studied cyanobacteria and this heterotrophic bacteria. So this is the first kingdom that came in the Whittaker 5 kingdom classification, which we discussed earlier.